Three bone-chilling true tales of being home alone at 3 a.m. that haunt today. The clock struck 3. Silence wrapped the house like a heavy blanket, so thick it felt like breathing was an effort. The shadows twisted and curled in the corners, making the familiar seem foreign, casting a hauntingly eerie atmosphere where the echoes of the past whispered secrets in the night. This wasn't just another late-night adventure. This was the hour when unseen things roamed free, waiting for the foolish to let their guard down. One eerie creak in the dark could send the bravest running for the safety of a light switch, or so they said. First up is Amanda. She was all alone in her new apartment, feeling every ounce of loneliness creep up her spine, when suddenly, the sound of soft, shuffling footsteps echoed through the hallway. Her heart raced, and the pounding in her chest felt like a drum signaling panic. She held her breath. Every instinct told her to check, to move, but fear had her glued to the spot. The footsteps they grew closer and then stopped. For a split second, there was absolute silence. Amanda glanced at the door, half expecting it to burst open. The shadows danced around her, and she could almost hear her own heart beating louder, like a warning echoing in the void. What was that? Just a trick of the mind? Or something more sinister lurking in the darkness? Then there was Jake, sprawled on his couch, the glow of the TV lighting up his face like some ghostly spotlight. He was bone-tired from working late and just wanted to nap. But sleep wouldn't come. That's when he heard a scratching sound, low and sinister, like nails dragging across wood. It started as a whisper, then built into a relentless, rattling beat that made him squirm. His eyes darted to the window, where shadows loomed just outside, a reflection of something otherworldly. Was it just the wind? Or birds? He made the mistake of peeking outside, and there, on the porch, stood a figure. Just for a second, it seemed to stare right at him before melding back into the night. An icy wave washed over him. Was it real? Was he losing his mind? Finally, there was Lisa, wide awake as her phone buzzed with a strange notification. 3 a.m. creepypasta, it read, and her guts twisted. Ignoring a text that came in at a time like this felt unwise. Little did she know, just behind her, something flickered. A cold draft swept through the room. The curtains fluttered gently, teasing her, whispering secrets only the night knew. As she turned, all she could see was the stark emptiness of her living room. But it felt like someone was watching, lurking right at the edge of her vision. Her phone vibrated once more. Panic surged through her veins. Her heart shouted that she was not alone, but her mind questioned, was it paranoia or a warning? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But these 3 stories are just the beginning. Underneath the surface of midnight, within every tick of the clock, lies a truth that beckons, and not all shadows can be dismissed as tricks of the light. What happens when the clock strikes again at 3? Are you prepared to find out? The moment the clock hit 3 once more, the house held its breath, as if anticipating the chaos to come. Darkness draped the rooms, more oppressive than before. Amanda, Jake, and Lisa were battling their own fears, but what they didn't know was that this hour was gathering strength. Something was stirring, something that thrived on the anxiety in the air. Amanda still sat near the door, heart thumping, the memory of those footsteps thrumming in her ears. Suddenly, a soft knock broke the silence, vibrating through her chest. She recoiled, panic bubbling to the surface. Maybe it's just a neighbor. She whispered to herself, attempting to rationalize the noise. But deep down, a voice screamed, "Get out!" Footsteps approached slowly, deliberately, as if savoring every moment. The doorknob turned. She froze, her breath caught tight in her throat. It clicked open, just a few inches. The darkness outside transformed into a figure clad in shadows, no discernible features, just an outline against the black. Amanda, it rasped, her name drawn out, twisting into something unnatural. Was it her mind playing tricks, or was the darkness manifesting into something more sinister? Paralysis seized her, she couldn't shout, couldn't move. The figure's presence loomed larger, pressing against her, grounding her in terror. Across town, Jake felt an enveloping chill seep into his bones. The scratching sound had stopped, but a deeper sense of dread hung in the air like a thick fog. Alone in the dim glow of his TV, he barely noticed when the power flickered back to life. But then, a low hum replaced the familiar sounds of city life outside. He leaned toward the window, nervous, and the shadows began to swirl. A laugh, hollow and ominous, echoed from the darkness outside. It pierced through him, sending a shiver racing down his spine. "Who's there?" he called, his voice trembling. The laughter grew louder, mocking him, a cruel companion to his solitude. Suddenly, the apparition from before emerged again, a pale visage gliding effortlessly across the lawn, starving for recognition. Jake's breath caught, his heart hammered relentlessly against his ribs. This wasn't real, this was impossible, he thought, but deep down, every fiber of his being screamed, "Run!" Meanwhile, Lisa, phone clutched tightly in her hands, felt the temperature drop dangerously low. The wallpaper peeled in the corners, shadows stretching and contorting like a nightmare made real. The phone buzzed one last time, an incoming message flashing on her screen, "I see you." Her pulse quickened, fear flooding her senses. She swung around, scanning the room, but all she found was empty space. Yet, it didn't feel empty. A weight pressed upon her, suffocating and electric. Then, a whisper danced in her ear, chilling her to the bone. "Look behind you." The grip on her phone tightened as she counted her breaths, each one more frantic than the last. 3 dark stories, tenebrous and thrilling, intertwined, drawing near to a crossroads. They were miles apart but spiritually tethered by shadows that entwined and thrummed with malicious intent. As each one prepared to face their demons, the whispers grew stronger, echoing through the silence of the night. But just as they thought they were closest to facing the truth, an unexpected sound shattered the air, a threefold bang on the walls around them. It was a warning, an invitation, or perhaps a trap, as if reality itself twisted and turned against them. What waits in the shadows, ready to confront them? And what if the truths they seek reveal dark secrets about themselves? The clock ticked on. Amanda's heart raced as the figure loomed closer, invading her space with the smell of earth and decay. She wanted to scream but was paralyzed by terror. "What do you want?" she managed to force out, her voice trembling like a leaf in a storm. Silence hung thick in the air, broken only by the echo of her own words, distorted by fear. The darkness seemed to pulse, and then the figure took a step forward, bringing with it an unsettling chill. "Your past," it rasped, words slithering through the air. Amanda's blood ran cold. What could it possibly know about her? Jake, still at the window, felt the urge to turn away, yet he was rooted to the spot. The pale visage stood just beyond the glass, its face obscured, but its eyes bore into him, deep and hollow, cutting through him like a knife. "What do you want?" he shouted, his voice echoing back to him, tainted by panic. The laugh responded, lighter than air, and it transformed into a long mournful wail that gnawed at his sanity. He stepped back, his hand fumbling for the light switch, but the power had died again, leaving him in darkness with only the shadows to play in. He tugged at the curtains, trying to block the sight, but the figure's presence only grew stronger. The laughter morphed into screams, visceral and unending. The reality of being alone snapped back into focus. He needed to leave. Now, meanwhile, Lisa's senses heightened. The air crackled and the shadows twisted into a grotesque display of what felt like memories clawing at her from the depths of her mind. "I see you," the message read again, simmering with foreboding. "What does it want from me?" she whispered, clutching the phone like a lifeline. Each breath burned in her throat. With trembling hands, she turned slowly, willing herself not to look, but the whisper grew louder, more insistent. "Look behind you." Finally, she did. But there was nothing, only the oppressive weight of silence pushing down on her. Was it all in her head? Then suddenly, she felt it. A gentle breeze skated across her skin, and out of the corner of her eye, she saw something quick and dark vanish behind her dresser. The shadows danced restlessly, daring her to take a step closer. A thud sounded from the living room, a heavy, deliberate sound that sent her heart racing. She needed to know. With a few determined strides, she approached the door, her instincts screaming to run, but curiosity anchored her. In an instant, Amanda spun back toward the door, breathing heavily. The figure was gone, but the air was thick with dread. What was that? She mouthed, looking back into the shadows in disbelief. The feeling of eyes watching her resumed, growing sharper as if the darkness itself was anticipating her next move. The three souls, tied together by threads of fear and the unknown, edged closer to a confrontation. The weight of their unspoken truths hung heavily in the air, pooling like oil on water, a toxic blend of anticipation and terror. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the house, rattling the walls and igniting their primal instincts to escape. Amanda, Jake, and Lisa found themselves standing at the brink of revelation, moments from an encounter that would either unravel everything they thought they believed or bind them closer to whatever hunted them. What mystery lay behind that crash? And as the clock drew nearer to the hour, what truths would emerge from the shadows? The echo of the crash hung in the air like the remnants of a nightmare refusing to fade. Amanda's heart stuttered, the rhythm of fear reverberating through her entire being. She glanced at Jake, whose face was as pale as the moonlit shadows. "We need to find out what that was," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Are you crazy?" Amanda shot back, her instincts screaming to run. But before she could protest further, another thud reverberated through the hallway, this one closer, more demanding. A chill raced down Amanda's spine. All logic left her mind. Something was wrong, fundamentally wrong. What if it's him? She breathed, scanning every corner, the shadows now morphing into lurking enemies. Jake clenched his fists. "We can't just leave it like this. Something is in our house, and ignoring it won't make it go away." He stepped toward the door, breaths quickening, longing to prove his courage, to take control of the situation. Lisa hesitated at the threshold of the living room. The air felt thick, almost gelatinous against her skin. She was torn between the urge to flee and a curiosity that kept tugging her forward. "What if it's just something falling? Something we can explain?" she suggested, but her voice faltered as she caught a glimpse of movement just beyond the doorway. Jake reached for the handle, but Amanda caught his wrist. "No. What if it's waiting for us?" She shook her head, her thoughts racing. The figure outside had felt as if it held every secret and guilt she tried to bury. She didn't want to confront anything else. Ignoring the caution, Jake opened the door slowly, the creaking hinges sounding like a death knell in the silence. The living room lay shrouded in darkness, illuminated only by the eerie glow of Lisa's phone screen, casting fleeting shadows that played tricks on their minds. "Hello?" Jake called out bravely, though the pit of fear clawed at his throat, almost choking him. Silence answered, thick and suffocating. "See?" "Nothing," Lisa said, though uncertainty laced her voice. But as they stepped further in, a cold gust rippled through the room, causing Lisa's phone to flicker. For a split second, she saw it, a fleeting shadow flitting across the wall. "Did you see that?" she exclaimed, panic rising inside her voice. The shadow had moved like a breath of wind, swift and terrible, leaving a lingering sense of grave danger in its wake, but Amanda was already backing away. "We have to go. Now." She felt the weight of old memories pressing down, memories she thought long buried. The past was clawing its way back, and she could feel it. Jake turned, and in that moment, the lights flickered back on, startling brightness flooding the room. They all froze. There, in the corner, lay the shattered remnants of what used to be a family photo frame, glass strewn across the floor like pieces of their fractured lives. A sharp intake of air was all it took for Amanda to recognize who was missing from that photo, their beloved mother, a shadow now haunting the edges of her mind. "What does this mean?" Jake whispered, gripping the edge of the coffee table. His confusion was palpable, collective dread settling around them like a heavy fog. "I don't know," Amanda shouted. "But we can't stay here." She glanced at Lisa, who stood motionless, staring wide-eyed at something just behind them. In the reflection of a nearby mirror, Amanda caught a glimpse of a person standing just beyond the doorway, their eyes glinting with a knowing darkness. "Run!" Lisa screamed, heart pounding against her ribs as she bolted toward the exit, but as they turned to flee, the figure stepped forward into the light, its face unmistakably human yet twisted with a sinister smile that would haunt their dreams forever. In that moment, they not only faced the sinister embodiment of their fears but the tangled web of their pasts threatening to unravel. What were they truly up against, and how could they escape from something so deeply embedded in their very souls? As terror gripped them tighter, the answer slid just out of reach, an unsettling promise lurking in the shadows. Amanda's breath caught in her throat as she locked eyes with the figure in the doorway. The world around her fell away, vanishing into the abyss of darkness that enveloped her. It was as if time had stopped, her heartbeat echoed loudly in her ears. "Who are you?" Jake demanded, his voice shaky yet laced with defiance. The figure took a step closer, revealing more of itself, and Amanda recognized features that were hauntingly familiar, a twisted version of their mother, eyes wide with a mix of sorrow and malice. A chill rippled down Amanda's spine as she stumbled back against the wall, desperately searching for a way to wake from this nightmare. "No, it can't be," she whispered, the words tasting like ash in her mouth. This was a grotesque mockery of the woman they loved. "Mom." Lisa's voice cracked, incredulity giving way to terror. The figure tilted its head, a sickening grin stretching wide, as laughter echoed through the room, a sound that was once warm and comforting, now turned sinister. "Why have you come back?" Jake demanded, defiance mingling with confusion in his voice. "What do you want with us?" The figure's smile widened, teeth glinting like daggers. "I've always been here, deep inside you. It's time you face what you've tried to bury." Amanda's knees threatened to buckle. Memories of their childhood resurfaced, washed in painful nostalgia. She recalled the laughter, the bedtime stories, and then, the day their mother had vanished from their lives like mist, leaving behind only a shattered family. "Stop!" Amanda shouted, desperation spilling forth. Each word was a plea, a protective sword against the memories that threatened to suffocate her. But the figure floated closer, its form impossibly shadowy and undefined. "Face me," it whispered, voice curling around her like a vine. "You cannot escape." Suddenly, the lights flickered again, plunging the room into darkness. Her heart raced, pounding like a war drum, drowning out the sound of her thoughts. It was a cover of darkness, yet Amanda felt within it a claustrophobic pressure building, as if the walls themselves were closing in on her. "On three," Jake said, his voice cutting through the void. 1, 2, 3. They turned, bolting together toward the hallway. The dark shape persisted, each step echoing behind them, a predator enjoying the chase. Amanda felt Lisa's breath at her side, quick and panicked. There was a sense of urgency, a primal instinct to survive. "What do we do?" Lisa panted, fear evident in her eyes. Amanda could barely stand to think. "Get to the front door," Jake pleaded, pushing them both forward. "We can't let it catch up to us." As they sprinted, shadows played tricks with their vision. Every corner held a potential threat, every creak of the floor was a whisper from the past. Amanda's pulse quickened, breath cycling in desperate gasps. But as they reached the living room, a deafening crash sounded behind them. It was the door, slamming shut. They turned to see the figure standing in the doorway once more, an impenetrable wall of darkness filled with fury. "Where do you think you're going?" It taunted, voice dripping with mockery. Lisa stepped back, fear frozen in her eyes. "This isn't real." This can't be real. Amanda turned to Jake, desperation etched across her features. We need to find a way to stop this. We can't let it take us. The figure laughed, the sound reverberating like thunder. You cannot stop me. I am your past, and your past never truly leaves. With that, the lights flickered off for what felt like an eternity, plunging them into a terrifying abyss. Amanda's mind spiraled. How could they confront something so intimately tied to their very essence? Dread coiled within Amanda's stomach, but she felt resolve building in her heart. Maybe confronting the darkness was their only chance to escape. Let us face it together, she said, grounding herself. As her voice broke the silence, she understood a choice had to be made, not just for survival but for reclaiming every piece of what they lost. The lights flickered back on, bright enough to blind, yet Amanda smiled. They stood together, ready to confront the ghost of their past, but the question lingered in her mind: what darkness awaited them when they did? And as they prepared to face the nightmare, a chilling whisper skimmed past their ears, echoing, "You have no idea what you're truly up against." The living room felt alive with tension, shadows dancing like malevolent wraiths as the figure loomed closer. Amanda tightened her grip on Lisa's arm, a silent but firm tether against the rising tide of fear. Jake's face was pale, etched with disbelief, yet determination flickered behind his eyes. "Look!" he shouted, motioning wildly toward the fireplace. "The family photo. It could be the key. We always thought it was cursed." Amanda's heart raced. Memories of the photograph flooded back. Its frame, cracked and dust-laden, displayed their family in happier times. But what had been a symbol of warmth was now an omen of dread. "Are you sure?" Amanda hesitated, but Jake was already moving. "Just trust me," he cried, the urgency cracking his voice. The figure chuckled darkly, drifting closer, each step echoing as a reminder of the dread that filled the air. "Futile, children. You think you can change anything by confronting a piece of your past?" It spread its shadowy arms wide as if to welcome them into its abyss. "Mom wouldn't want this," Lisa stammered, her voice trembling with the weight of the moment. "Then let us do it for her." Amanda rallied, feeling her resolve solidifying like concrete. "Let us face whatever this is." Jake sprinted to the fireplace, reaching for the photo, his fingers trembling. "We need to hold on to it. It may still hold her love." The flames flickered behind him, casting a foreboding glow that danced ominously on his face. As he grabbed the picture, the figure's laughter crescendoed, filling the air with malice. "You think memories can save you? They are chains that bind you to your fear." Amanda wasted no time, rushing to Jake's side. "Show us, Mom. Give us a sign." They crowded around the picture frame, anxiety rippling through their bodies. The figure paused, almost intrigued, as if their plea sparked something deep within it. The siblings clasped each other's hands tightly, faces pale yet resolute. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. A pulse, almost electric, surged through the room. The darkness crackled as if recognizing an incantation. Amanda felt warmth emanate from the photograph, bright and brilliant, washing over them like sunlight cutting through the heavy fog. "What is happening?" Lisa whispered, awe mingling with fear. As if in answer, their mother's voice fluttered through the air like a lost melody, familiar and comforting, yet tinged with sorrow. "You must remember why I left. You must remember me." The walls vibrated with a sorrowful tune, memories cascading over Amanda in vivid flashes: joyful laughter, shared hugs, a sense of belonging. The figure roiled, the shadowy form swirling angrily as if threatened by the intrusion of hope. "No!" it screamed, the sound jagged and wrong, echoing like shards of glass. "You can't change the past." Yet, as the warmth grew, filling the room, Amanda realized their collective memories shone brightly against the darkness. "We loved you then, and we love you now," she cried, her voice unwavering. The figure faltered, rage mingling with confusion as it began to fade at the edges, the shadows dissipating. "You think you can forget me?" it shrieked, desperation lacing its tone. I am forever a part of you. In that moment, Amanda understood, it wasn't about erasing the past but confronting it, embracing every beautiful and painful moment they shared. They could reclaim joy from the suffocating darkness. "Mom," Jake cried, tears in his eyes, gripping the photograph tightly, "bring her back to us." Light enveloped them, blinding and pure. The laughter of their mother, once twisted and distorted, began to resonate in harmony with their cries. But just as hope ignited, the ground trembled beneath them. The figure shrieked, the sound of a soul being dragged into chaos. "You cannot escape who you are." And then, everything went dark again. Amanda's heart pounded, disorientation crashing over her like icy water. Around her, she could feel the presence of Jake and Lisa, yet the sense of calm she had felt evaporated. "Where are we?" Lisa murmured, panic creeping back into her voice. "That thing, it's not gone." Jake's breath hitched in his throat in the suffocating dark. Amanda thought she heard whispering the faintest trace of their mother's voice lingering as it slipped further away. They were trapped, suspended between salvation and damnation, and as they stood there, fear crackling in the air, a question reverberated: had they really confronted the past, or had they merely awakened it? The darkness felt tangible, wrapping around Amanda, Jake, and Lisa like a suffocating cloak. Each shallow breath was a reminder of their vulnerability, the chilling stillness amplifying their racing hearts. Amanda strained to see her siblings through the thick blackness, but all she managed to discern was the sound of their nervous whispers. "Is anyone there?" Jake called out, his voice faltering, barely breaking through the heavy silence. The moment hung in the air, thick with dread. Just when Amanda thought they might be alone, a low growl rippled through the darkness, sending shivers down her spine. "You're not alone," it was a cold, whispering echo, cutting through the tension with razor-sharp clarity. Who's there?" Lisa stammered, her trembling hands gripping Amanda's tighter. The growl morphed into laughter, a hollow, mocking sound that seemed to swirl around them, taunting their fear. "You can't escape me, children," the figure's voice oozed with malice, disembodied and menacing. "This is where your past meets your present." Panic assaulted Amanda's mind. Memories flooded back, every regret, every unspoken word. "We need to remember, Mom," she shouted, desperation filling her tone. "We have to fight back together." In that moment of clarity, the photograph felt heavy in Jake's hands, pulsating with energy. "Hold it!" he barked, the photo catching a sliver of light, illuminating their faces just enough to express their grim resolve. The laughter faltered, confusion creeping into the figure's voice. "What hope do you think you have?" it hissed, the darkness swirling at its core, seemingly threatened now. "Mom believed in us," Amanda yelled, pushing the weight of memories to the forefront of her thoughts. "She taught us that love triumphs over despair." A rumble shook the air as the shadows recoiled. The photograph erupted in a blinding glow, filling the void around them with warmth. A kaleidoscope of images swirled from the picture: family vacations, shared laughter, and moments that made them whole. "Yes!" Lisa shouted, her voice rising above the din, the sparkle of hope igniting her spirit. "Mom's love is stronger than the darkness." The figure screeched, a sound so raw it broke through every barrier of the space they occupied. "You're fools to think you can defy me." It surged, shadows swirling, twisting in a whirlwind of fury and panic. "No!" Amanda screamed again, thrusting her hand forward as if to push against the darkness. "We will remember. We will fight." With every surge of emotion, the brightness from the photograph intensified. It proved radiant against the encroaching shadows, illuminating the room with dazzling light. The figure writhed, growing more unstable, desperate to cling to the darkness, but just as the light reached its peak, the ground trembled again beneath them, a tremor that threatened to pull them apart. The shadows lunged at them, through gaps in their defenses. "You've awakened me," it howled, fury burning through its voice. "You can't undo the past. Watch us." Jake roared defiantly, clutching the photo even closer. "We'll create our own future." The room felt alive, vibrating with energy. In that swirling clash of light and darkness, Amanda felt an overwhelming sense of clarity wash over her. They could reclaim this space, this moment. They could emerge strong, no matter how terrifying the past loomed, and through it all, a question remained, echoing in the depths of her mind. What would happen if they succeeded? What would it truly mean to confront the truth of their mother's departure? Just then, everything began to fade again, shadows clawing at their light, pulling them down rapidly. You cannot escape. The voice thundered. Stay together. Amanda shouted desperately, but just as she grasped for her brother and sister, they were jerked apart by unseen forces. As Amanda looked around in panic, the world blurred, and darkness swallowed her whole yet again. What awaited her on the other side? What horrors awaited them all? The world shifted like sand beneath Amanda's feet, her vision swirling into a void thick with shadows. She felt a wrenching tug, as if the very essence of her being was being pulled apart. Jake! Lisa! She screamed, desperation lacing her voice. She strained against the dark, stretching out her palms, reaching for them, but all she grasped was emptiness, cold, suffocating dark. Suddenly, a blinding light flickered into existence, casting eerie shadows against flaking walls. With it came a sensation like being thrust through water, drowning in pressure before being spat out into a new realm. As her eyes adjusted, Amanda panted, panic wrapping around her like a vice. She found herself in an abandoned living room, littered with dust and shattered memories. Where are we? A voice trembled near her. Lisa, appearing from the edge of the shadows, looked just as terrified. I don't know. Amanda glanced around, taking in the decayed furniture, faded photographs scattered on the floor. We were together. We have to find Jake. As if summoned, Jake stumbled into view, disheveled and pale. I thought we were done for. His relief transformed quickly into alarm as he locked eyes with the looming shadows at the corners of the room. Amanda. Lisa. Watch out. Before they could respond, the darkness coalesced, reshaping into a grotesque figure with haunting laughter that echoed off the walls. You are cutting ties to the past, children, it hissed, its voice slithering like smoke. But it clings, like a noose around your necks. What do you want from us? Jake demanded, stepping protectively in front of his sisters. His bravado wavered as the figure advanced on them, filled with shadows deeper than any night. Your memories, it replied, each word sounding like a physical blow. Mom's love. You think that will save you? I am born of your regrets, your guilt. I am everything you wish to forget. Stop. You don't own us. Amanda shouted defiantly, her heart pounding. She remembered their mother's laughter, how it used to chase away the shadows in her childhood. Let's put that love to the test, the figure sneered, stretching out its claws. The air thickened around them, swirling with images that tugged at their chests. Visions of family dinners turned sour, forgotten promises hanging like shackles. Keep those photographs close. Amanda urged, remembering the power they once held. She fished in her pocket, her fingers brushing against the corners of their mom's worn family photo. We can use it. Her love will protect us. But just as Amanda grasped the picture, the figure lunged forward, its claws reaching for them, the shadows clawing at her heart, trying to siphon away the light. Do you truly believe she will save you? It barked, the air vibrating with fury. In that heartbeat, a thought struck Amanda like a lightning bolt. Maybe she won't save us, but she will give us strength. Together. Lisa shouted, linking her hands with Amanda's, bring it on. With a surge of unity, Amanda raised the photograph high, feeling warmth radiate from it. The glow enveloped them in a protective shield, mingling their spirits together. Your past won't break us. Jake yelled as the light brightened, ricocheting off the walls and banishing the encroaching shadows, pushing back against the darkness with each beam of love cast from the photograph. But just as the figure began to dissolve, its yell of rage echoing through the room, the walls trembled, and a crack formed in reality itself. A fissure widened, revealing glimpses of twisted memories that beckoned with a haunting promise. "No!" Amanda cried, watching the despair unfold. "We can't let it take us." A rush of air swept through the room like a tempest, forcing them backward. Clasped hands were torn apart, and Amanda felt herself spiraling toward the crack. What if we fall into the past? She thought desperately, heart racing as the dark promise loomed. But that was the moment she realized, to confront the truth, they may have to dive straight in. What awaited them in that other realm? Would it be a path to freedom or a trap more profound than they could ever imagine? The wind howled like a banshee through the crack in the wall, pulling at Amanda's clothes and hair as she spun toward the darkness once more. The crack pulsed, revealing flashes of horrifying memories, lost moments that clawed at her sanity. Images of their mother, tears in her eyes, the shattered remnants of family gatherings turned bitter, Jake's quiet, painful moments in the shadows, each frame burning into Amanda's mind like acid. "Stay together!" Jake shouted, his voice a desperate anchor in a storm. But with every gust of wind, the shadows writhed and twisted, making questions swell in her throat. What do they expect from us? What darkness wants to be unleashed? Listen! The photograph! Lisa shouted back. Just hold on to it. In frantic energy, they scrambled for stability, forming a tight circle, forcing that photograph at the center. The light pulsed warmly between them, trying to shield against the encroaching darkness. The air crackled as if charged with every word spoken, every shared moment. But then, that malevolent figure morphed before their eyes, growing larger, angrier. "You cling to the past, you foolish children!" It bellowed, the laughter tinged with madness. "You think memories can save you? Memories will trap you. They're not just memories." Amanda cried, feeling the warmth of their shared history swell in her chest. "They're everything we are." With determination, she reached for the crack. "We have to jump." "Are you insane?" Jake's voice broke, fear lacing his tone. "You want to dive into that chaos? It's the only way to face the truth. We can't run anymore." Amanda felt herself pulled closer to the edge, the urge to freefall more potent than her fear. "It's either that, or be devoured. Together." Lisa cried. Their hands, trembling but united, found strength in one another. A rush of adrenaline ignited within Amanda as she locked eyes with the flickering images, feeling connected to every laugh and tear. "On 3. She counted. 1, 2, but before she could shout 3, the shadows lunged forward, clawing and tearing at the glowing light encasing them. Their faces twisted in pain, and Amanda felt the tug of despair threatening to rip them apart. Lost in the chaos, it was as if time itself had halted. "Now! Jump!" Jake screamed, and with one collective leap of faith, they launched themselves into the crack. The sensation was instantaneous, like free-falling from the sky, a gripping, gut-wrenching plunge into the unknown. Horrific flashes enveloped them, swirling memories battling for control as they veered deeper into an abyss filled with echoes of their laughter and sorrow, but as the ground rushed up to meet them, Amanda's heart pulsed with hope. They wouldn't be just memories. They defaced them, they de-wrestled the regrets and the guilt together. Suddenly, everything snapped into clarity. The sensation shifted from frantic contours of fear to an awakening awareness, like waking from a fog. They landed with a thud, the ground firm beneath them. They found themselves in a place twisted by time, a familiar park from their childhood, but twisted into a nightmarish version of itself, shadows looming long and deep. "Where?" Lisa whispered, her wide eyes reflecting disbelief. Before they could process anything further, a figure emerged from the shallows of darkness, a silhouette so achingly familiar. "Mom!" Jake breathed, stepping forward, a mix of hope and trepidation swirling within him, but as the figure stepped into the pale light, the truth clawed at their insides. Her face was unsettlingly twisted, a visage that sent ice coursing through Amanda's veins. "Why did you abandon me?" The figure rasped, the voice echoing like a hollow spirit seeking vengeance. No. That can't be her. Amanda yelled, the weight of fear threatening to collapse her resolve. What lay before them was not salvation but a mirror reflecting their worst fears. As shadows crawled closer, it became clear this was the confrontation they had been summoned for, a battle between what they remembered and what had turned to darkness. Why did she turn into this? Lisa's voice trembled, echoing their thoughts, and as they stood, frozen in disbelief, the air around them thickened with memories begging to be addressed. They were in the past now, and the only way out was through the truth they each desperately feared to face. Would they uncover what turned their mother from love to anguish? With hearts pounding and tension thick in the air, Amanda took a step forward. We need to fight back. But would they be too late? Would the truth tear them apart or bring them closer to healing? The shadows crept closer, ready to consume them whole. Amanda, Jake, and Lisa stood before the twisted figure that had once symbolized their mother, a being now cloaked in shadows and sorrow. It felt like stepping into a nightmare, terror clawing at their insides. We can't let this take us, Amanda whispered fiercely, determination igniting a fire within her that pushed back against the overwhelming dread. The figure loomed closer, its hollow eyes piercing through the veil of darkness that surrounded it. Why did you abandon me? It rasped, resentment dripping from every word. No. Jake shouted, stepping forward, defiance in his voice. You're not our mother. You've twisted everything. You made us suffer. Swirling shadows reflected the torment of memories, but Amanda knew they had to reclaim what was lost, confront the truth, and dispel the darkness that clung to their hearts. We loved you. We still do. She cried, every breath rich with emotion, hoping to reach the remnants of the woman they cherished. As she spoke, the fabric of the memory began to shimmer, colors bleeding into the black and white images of despair. The laughter they had shared rushing through her mind, illuminating the thick silence. Glimpses of happier days fluttered around them, picnics in the park, a warm embrace, bedtime stories filled with adventure. They were all memories that illuminated the shadows threatening to devour them. The figure recoiled, the shadows thinning slightly as if weakened by the light of their recollections. You think your memories can save you? It hissed. They are chains that bind you to your grief. No, Lisa yelled, stepping closer to her siblings. They're the reasons we fight. They remind us of who we were. They remind us of you before the darkness took over. With every word she spoke, the temperature in the air began to rise, lifting the veil of gloom that hung around them. Amanda felt emboldened, and an idea ignited within her like a spark. Together, we can confront this. She took both her siblings' hands tightly, forming a circle of unity and strength against the shadowy figure. Let us remember who we are as a family. As if in response, Jake lifted the photograph above them, its edges pulsating with warmth. This was us. We were happy. He shouted, determination coursing through him as he thrust it toward the figure. You're trapped in a darkness you created, but it's time we break free. The figure shrieked again, its wail piercing through the night. Shadows curled around it, but the growing warmth from their connection blazed brighter, illuminating the painful memories while wrapping them in light instead of despair. The figure's form buckled, shifting like smoke in a breeze, struggling against their influx of love and acceptance. I loved you, even when it was hard. Amanda cried, feeling the warmth of their bond slowly morphing into something powerful. Let us honor what you taught us, let us embrace everything, the good and the bad. It's how we heal. As the words spilled from her heart, the figure hesitated once more, the shadows flickered like dying embers. Each flicker of warmth unveiled deeper parts of their memories, unraveling layers of pain and sorrow, revealing vibrant moments overshadowed by fear. The figure paused, the grief in its eyes mixing with confusion. You cannot erase the past, it whispered, but its tone had changed, softening slightly, whispers of something almost human lurking behind the despair. No. We don't want to erase it, Jake yelled, tears slipping down his cheeks. But we're not afraid anymore. We understand, and we want you back. The figure seemed to waver, a shadow of its former self. With trembling hands, Amanda reached out, her fingers brushing against the darkness. "We forgive you," she cried. "We want to move forward together." And then, as if their collective intent resonated through time and space, light erupted from the photograph, wrapping the three of them in warmth and comfort. The room pulsed with love, memories shimmering brightly as the figure dimmed, becoming less defined. There was a moment of quiet and almost gentle acceptance swirling in the air, with one final scream, the shadows collapsed, unraveling into a cascade of light. In the blink of an eye, everything shifted. Amanda blinked against the brightness, sunlight pouring through the trees like liquid gold. They were back in the park, the familiar space alive with color, surrounded by blossoming flowers and laughter. They turned, eyes widening. The figure stood before them, no longer a grotesque shadow but a glimpse of their mother, smiling softly. "You faced me, children. You broke the ties that bound you to fear." Tears filled Amanda's eyes as joy and relief surged through her mom. She breathed, though uncertainty lingered in the air. With a warm, radiant expression, their mother nodded. "I had to go, but it was never to forsake you. Together, we can shift the darkness. Love remains unbroken," she spoke, words dripping with soothing warmth. As the sunlight embraced them, warmth suffused their bodies, filling the void where shadows once haunted. They felt a profound sense of freedom, tethered by understanding rather than fear. Hand in hand, they stepped closer, finally whole again. The echoes of the past felt lighter and needed no longer to haunt them. "Thank you, Mom," Amanda whispered, and the figure, still glowing with love, began to fade slowly, carrying with it the remnants of anguish but leaving behind solace and peace. As the echo of their past turned to whispers in the wind, they prepared to face the dawn together. The sun rose high, casting away the shadows that once held them captive. And in that moment, they knew no matter how dark the night, love would always light the way. Thank you for coming on this journey with Amanda, Jake, and Lisa. The shadows of the past are heavy, but love will always be the light that guides us through. If you felt the chills and the hope, now is the time to connect. You need to subscribe now and never miss these heart-pounding endings and exclusive stories. Smash that like button to help us keep going. Flood the comments with your thoughts. What did you think of the ending? And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how love conquers fear. Your support is everything. Show it now.